Yeah, I noticed the stadium was open after you said that.
Week 4 is underway. We've got the Vikings and Saints live in London right now, Brant. What a beautiful way to start a Sunday morning, but with early football. Minus the news of waking up to Alvin Kamara being out when you've really not seen a whole lot out of him this year and not gotten a whole lot of game time out of him. That wasn't the greatest way to wake up.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's the way I'd be wanting to do it either. Yeah, I woke up and noticed almost every name for the Saints was out. So
Yep. Not a good look there, unless you were a zero running back guy and happened to draft Mark Ingram late as heck. You might be pretty happy.
Yeah, or I mean, I know he was available on a lot of waivers. Hopefully, if you did own him, hopefully you got out there and you got him. I know in both of our leagues where he is not on waivers in those leagues.
No, as he shouldn't be.
Absolutely not. So yeah, this will be back-to-back weeks. We get to wake up to beautiful football and in the background. And
all right, looks like we got some stuff rolling in here. So Jared says flex and wide receiver PPR, Zeke versus Washington, Ayuk versus the Rams, or Curtis Samuel versus Dallas, or Penny versus Detroit.
All right.
Who's the obvious take out of this one for you, Brant? Which one are we taking out?
Ayuk, Samuel, Dallas. Ayuk really is mine. We know that Jimmy G likes to manage the game. I really like Penny this week. As you saw, I moved him up into my starters against Detroit. Ayuk's kind of my obvious one to pull out here. Really, you need a flex and a wide receiver. I'm probably going Curtis Samuel and Penny here. Curtis Samuel's going to get a lot of dump offs because of that amazing pass rush that Dallas is bringing. So Wentz will have to get rid of the ball early, and we've already seen Samuel is Wentz's favorite guy anyway. So I think he'll see a lot of dump offs, and there's just something about this week. Last time Penny saw Detroit, he had his way with them, and I think Penny is due for a breakout game. And I think against that softer front seven, I don't want to say they're soft because they are up and coming. I think Penny has a good day today.
Yeah, I probably go with Zeke and Curtis Samuel. So I think you and I agree on the Curtis Samuel there. I just think Zeke's going to find a way to fall into the end zone like he has the last couple. I know Pollard's looked better to this point, but in division, I think that they'll look to use Zeke to just pound the game away there. So I probably go Zeke and Curtis Samuel.
Absolutely. I mean, either one of those two backs I do like this week. The only reason I lean more Penny is I think maybe he'll see a couple more dump offs than Zeke will with the way of the emergence of Pollard.
Are you sure it's not because you don't have that stupid shirt on? Are you sure that's why you're not leaning Penny?
No, like I said, you know me, and I don't normally lean towards my Seahawks, especially this year.
Last weekend, no, okay, all right, moving on.
Good morning, Walleye Wrangler. Good morning, Jennifer.
Yep. Good morning, guys. Michael says full point PPR need 2 between Pierce, Gibson, and Breeze Hall. So you've got the Texans at home against the Chargers. You've got Gibson against the Cowboys, and then you've got Breeze Hall on the road to Pittsburgh. Breeze Hall, man, it's either been really, really great in the pass catching game or just really not. Whereas Gibson and Pierce are both the pretty clear cut ones on their team. The only issue I have really with Pierce is he's really not getting that third down pass catching back work yet. That's still Burkhead, as gross as it is to say that at this point. But I still probably go Pierce and Gibson for me on this one.
Yeah, Eileen, definitely Pierce is my first choice easily. One thing that scares me about Gibson is the last 2 weeks he's had 15 and 14 fantasy points, and that's with the touchdown. He's really only received 4 targets and 1 target, so it kind of scares me a little bit with that backfield and how it's shaping out. But I think I lean Pierce and Gibson as well here, and give Hall one more week. His is going up, and I think this will be relative easy to decipher out after this week. I think Hall probably takes over that backfield sooner rather than later.
Okay. Jonathan, full point per reception. Everett or Schultz at tight end, assuming he suits up. So again, you've got the divisional game with the Cowboys hosting the Commanders in that one, or the Chargers traveling to Houston. I really like the way Gerald Everett's been targeted by Herbert again this week. You don't have any Keenan Allen. So I'm probably leaning Gerald Everett at this point. I know Schultz is a big factor, and he's been very relevant for fantasy for at least the last half of last season and then so far this year. But I lean Gerald Everett on that one.
Yeah, I'm on Everett that way. I'm on Everett too. I just think without Keenan Allen, the targets are going to be there for Everett. We know Herbert's a little banged up, so he might not look to push the ball as far downfield as he normally does. So I'm leaning Gerald Everett. I love his upside this week. Gross. Sorry.
DJ Moore, Brandon Cooks, or Garrett Wilson.
DJ Moore's the obvious out.
I don't know if he is. I mean, he is still the target share leader there. Assuming that you only need one of these, I'm probably still going with Brandon Cooks because in my mind it's the safest, with still a relatively high ceiling as well. But if it's got to be boom or bust and out of these three, I think if you need a huge play, you're looking Garrett Wilson. But again, we don't know what that Jets offense is going to look like with Zach Wilson back at the helm this week. Obviously, Joe Flacco made that offense look pretty fun the last couple, but we'll see what that looks like. So I probably go Brandon Cooks just because I know what I'm getting there.
I'm going Brandon Cooks, and now this name has been brought up today, I've been waiting. I wasn't going to let you toot your own horn on this one because I know you're going to toot against me on the Falcons wing. I didn't realize how much Zach Wilson looked for Elijah Moore last year. So until I see Zach Wilson and out there with everyone else, I'm kind of fading Garrett Wilson a little until I see how that offense does look. Good. He's a target regardless of who they play almost because he's obviously the best pass catcher. So I'm going Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement on that one.
I just wanted to make sure I put out there that you were right. Garrett Wilson may not be that guy once Wilson gets back.
Absolutely. Raymond says in a different league, full point per reception, Mike Williams or Cortland Sutton. So you've got the Broncos against the Raiders, or obviously the aforementioned Chargers at the Texans with no Keenan Allen. Cortland Sutton for me has been very safe every week. He's getting you those double-digit points every single week in PPR. But I like Mike Williams' upside. I just think there's a good chance he gets 8 or 9 targets this week. Again, no Keenan Allen in that game. I don't expect the Texans to stay in it. So they may not pass a lot late, but I think for sure Mike Williams gets involved a lot early and often.
Yeah, I like Mike Williams this week too. No Keenan Allen, he's the true alpha there. There's nobody really on the Texas defense that scares me. So yeah, I lean Mike Williams also. Sorry.
Okay, Derek says Rondale Moore, Breece Hall, Najee Harris, Chris Godwin, or Jeff Wilson in the flex. My gut says it's got to be Najee.
That's the way my gut is too.
But Najee's not looked great, so I understand the maybe hesitation that the offensive line hasn't gotten a lot of surge, not really involved in the pass catching work, and then Jalen. What's his name there? That rookie, the undrafted rookie, Jalen Warren. Excuse me. He's looked absolutely the part, and I'm sure he's going to continue to get carries. I don't necessarily love Jeff Wilson against the Rams defense this week. It is Chris Evans is expected to play, or Chris Godwin is expected to play. But if you put Chris Godwin in and he doesn't go, then you're forced to start Jeff Wilson because the Bucks and Chiefs are Sunday night here. I think I probably still lean Najee. At some point, Najee's going to get going, and against the Jets defense, what better week for Najee to really right the ship than this week.
Yeah, I lean Najee also. I don't want to be forced into having to either start Godwin or Wilson. Rondale Moore's coming back from injury, so I don't want to lean my trust in him. And Najee's just always been that guy. I know he hasn't looked great, but he is still that guy in that backfield.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay, Jennifer has to replace Kamara. A lot of us did. I had that same struggle. So she says Pierce or Singletary PPR. She has Pierce in now. So again, you've got Dameon Pierce against the Los Angeles Chargers or Devin Singletary on the road against the Baltimore Ravens. Brant, what's your take on this one?
I'm going Pierce here. I like Pierce's upside again here this week. He gets involved. In the passing game a little bit. I know that's not his third. I know he's not the third down role, but he definitely does get involved. And Singletary, I see the Bills airing this ball out against that banged up secondary there in Baltimore. So I see more passing from Baltimore or from Buffalo. So yeah, I'm going to lean Pierce on this one.
Okay, I think we're in agreement there. Are Patterson and Godwin playing? Have you guys heard any updates? Last I heard is Godwin is expected to try. I think it's going to be a game time decision. As far as
Patterson also is expected to go. They're both testing. Both going to test it in pregame. I pulled this up once I saw this comment come up because I unfortunately didn't realize it was that tender, but I own both of them somewhere. So I went and checked it out. They're both expected to go, but we'll see how the pregame goes.
Yep. Logan says Gabe Davis, Isaiah McKenzie, or Kareem Hunt in the flex PPR. Man, you got the Bills traveling again to the Baltimore to play the Ravens, who are giving up a ton of pass yards through that secondary there. And then you've also got Kareem Hunt hosting the Atlanta Falcons this week. What do you think on that one, Brant?
I'm probably going Gabe Davis. I like him here. Hunt, I think they're going to be in a very competitive game, and I could see this being more of a Nick Chubb game. I know that you guys struggle between the tackles a little bit, but the pass catching and everything else, you guys seem to be the Falcons seem to be okay with. So I'm going to lean Gabe Davis on this one. I think he's in for a good game.
Yeah, I probably lean one of the Bills pass catchers here, but again, I know Gabe Davis has been banged up and missed time, and he's came out and said he's playing this week. So I mean, I would assume he plays, but how much is he on the field? I don't know. It scares me a little bit, but I probably start Gabe Davis as well. But the fact that he may not be out there for a ton of snaps this week does scare me, a little bit.
Yeah.
Josh says Curtis Samuel or Jahan Dotson in a flex. Curtis Samuel. Yeah,
Samuel.
Yeah, it's Curtis Samuel for me.
As much as I want to trust Dotson, I just can't trust him yet. I'm going Curtis on this one now.
Yeah, Curtis seems to be Carson Wentz's favorite target as well, so definitely starting Curtis Samuel. Tony says, I know CMC is usually a must start, but he hasn't done much so far. But do I start him even not 100% or roll with Dameon Pierce versus the Chargers? This is one of those that when you do try, and I get it, I get the frustration. The running backs in general, with the exception of a very few, have been down this year, not getting what we're used to seeing out of those backs. This is one of those, though, if you get cute and you start Pierce, even if Pierce has a good game for Pierce, if CMC does CMC things, you're going to be very disappointed he's on your bench. I probably start CMC. I start CMC. I understand that you have to stay growing and stay reevaluating and ahead of the curve here, but I think you're still starting CMC.
Absolutely. CMC, if he's on that field, you got to start him because, like you said, if he's on your bench and he does do CMC things, you are going to regret it.
Absolutely, you will. Tony says one more with St. Brown out. Would you play Zay Jones or Isaiah McKenzie for wide receiver 3 in PPR?
Let's go see. Let me look over my notes here.
For me, it's Zay Jones for me. The Jaguars are playing the Eagles this week, and the Jags are going to have. I would assume Darius Slay will stick around with Christian Kirk most of the game, so I think that should leave Zay Jones with a lot of good targets. Zay Jones and Christian Kirk have been, without question, the first and second read for Trevor Lawrence on dropbacks. Zay Jones has put up good weeks all 3 weeks so far. I'm going Zay Jones.
Yeah, I'm taking Zay Jones on this one also. He's the number 2 guy there. There's been weeks he's been the number 1 guy there, so he has that upside. I'm taking Zay Jones.
Absolutely.
Tony, I feel your pain with St. Brown out. I've been leaning on him in my Dynasty League, and unfortunately, I had to find a replacement this week. Allen Lazard or Devin Duvernay?
Oh, man. So you got the Packers hosting the Patriots, or you've got the Ravens hosting the Bills.
So I'm gonna jump on this one and take so the Packers game, I don't see it being a very highly contested game. I think Packers get up quick. I think Packers get up early. And I think you see a lot of Jones and Dillon. So maybe Lazard gets involved early, but he's not going to be involved late in my mind. And do that what is it, Bills and Ravens? I think that game goes back and forth, and I think we have to see Lamar air it out a little bit more than we have. And so I almost lean Duvernay here. The safer play in my mind is Lazard because he is probably a safer play. You know that Rodgers is going to air it out early. But if you need a boom or a higher ceiling, I'm going Duvernay here.
Yeah, I'm going Allen Lazard. I think Allen Lazard's got the safer floor and the safer ceiling. I do tend to agree with you that I think the Packers get up early, but I think Allen Lazard's going to have to be involved with that quite a bit for that to happen, to help move. He may not get the touchdowns to get him up early, but he's going to have to be involved in helping him move down the field. So I lean Allen Lazard because I don't expect Allen Lazard to hang zeros this week, and you definitely could see that from Devin Duvernay. So, yeah, I agree with the safer play, but I also think Allen Lazard's got just as good a chance as getting in the end zone as Devin Duvernay. So it's Allen Lazard for me. Starter sit, Josh Jacobs in PPR. So you've got the Raiders hosting the Denver Broncos this week. I think I'm playing Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
I've got Josh Jacobs in a couple leagues, and I know the production's not been amazing, but it's not been bad either. So I think you're still starting Josh Jacobs. The matchup's not horrendous. It's not great, but it's not bad either. And it's a divisional game. Yeah, I think you go Josh Jacobs here in PPR.
Yeah, I think you start Josh Jacobs pretty confidently. You're not going to see the Raiders go 0-4 in my mind. They're going to do everything and anything to get their best weapons involved, and I think Jacobs and Adams are heavily involved today.
Absolutely. Zachary says non-PPR, Zay Jones or Greg Dortch. I also have Hollywood Brown in.
I'm going Zay Jones on this one. Dortch is going to see a little drop back in his snap count with Rondale Moore coming back. I don't think, he's going to instantly just be pulled from the game because he's done really well, but he's going to see a drop back in some of his snaps. So I lean Zay Jones on this one.
Yeah, I think I go Zay Jones too. I mean, watching the Jags a little bit for the first 3 weeks, it definitely looks like they like to get the ball to Zay Jones in space and let him work. So I think you're going to see him rack up some yards after catch. So I definitely think in non-PPR, Zay Jones is probably the start. Clyde Edwards-Helaire against the Bucs run defense, or Antonio Gibson against the Cowboys run defense. It's Antonio Gibson for me. Clyde Edwards-Helaire isn't even the snap count leader in his own backfield. That belongs to Jerick McKinnon, as irrelevant as that's been for fantasy still. But, I mean, if you take out Clyde Edwards-Helaire's, touchdowns this season, which I know it doesn't work that way, he's been abysmal. But, it's Gibson for me, and it's not particularly close.
Yeah, I lean Gibson here too. I do not like CEH going forward. Like you said, McKinnon's led that team in the backfield snaps. I'm leaning Gibson here.
Absolutely. Mike Williams or Devonta Smith. So again, you've got the Devonta Smith against the Chargers secondary, or the Jaguars secondary, or Mike Williams against the Texans secondary. As long as Herbert's able to get that ball downfield, I'm going Mike Williams. I just think he's got to be involved too often with Keenan Allen out. So for me, it's Mike Williams.
Yeah, I'm leaning Mike Williams on this one too. I looked at some of the weather reports, and I know we got shot in the foot with that one last week. So I don't know how much I want to lean on it, but it looks like it could be a messy game there with Philly versus Jacksonville. So I'm leaning Mike Williams there.
Jason says Clyde Edwards-Helaire or AJ Dillon. Brant and I both think that the Packers are gonna handle the Patriots pretty easily today, especially no Mac Jones. So I think AJ Dillon's going to be involved quite often once they get a lead. I think it's AJ Dillon here. Brant, I'm sure you agree. CEH for me, I've got to start seeing him be on the field more than 50% of the time for me to be, really in on Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yep. I'm starting Dillon and Jones anywhere I got a chance to put them in this week. I love both of them this week.
Absolutely. Giovanni says, pick one, Patterson, Godwin, or Josh Jacobs in PPR.
Oh, man. I want to go Godwin on this one, but I know that he's a game-time decision, and you may not have anything to fill in for him, so that's kind of rough.
Yeah, my gut also says Chris Godwin. That's where I want to go, but I think safety-wise, I think Josh Jacobs is probably the safest play out of these three. If Godwin plays, and I knew he was going to be on the field for a decent amount of snaps, he's probably just as safe. But I'd probably go Josh Jacobs. Cordero Patterson's a home run. Got that home run ability. He's looked good. He's broken his career high in rushing yards twice this year through 3 weeks. So the usage is there. I just don't know what that's going to look like against Cleveland's defense this week. And it looks like we have a touchdown in our New Orleans Minnesota game. Who was that? Who got in the end zone there?
Looks like Olave, I believe, number 12.
It was Chris Olave.
Yes,
so we've got Chris Olave in the end zone in London.
I am leaning Jacobs also to answer this one here. I think he's the safest play this week. Unfortunately, I want to go Godwin, but I cannot risk that.
Kevin says, J.K. Dobbins or Damian Harris? Worried about J.K. Dobbins' reps against Bills D, and Mac Jones is out, so they should run the ball. Yes, you're right. But just like last week where we said it's Bill Belichick, last week both Harris and Stevenson had okay games. Stevenson was the better of the two, obviously. I don't know. I'm probably still leaning J.K. Dobbins. I know last week wasn't a great showing, but it was his first week back. I just can't trust until we see a huge separation in ability from usage on Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson. I almost hesitate to tell anybody to start one of those two. So if you've got a better option, which I think J.K. Dobbins is more clear cut and dry, I think that's where you go.
I like Dobbins also. There really is nothing in that backfield. I know that he was limited last week, but I think his snap count slowly moves up. So I'm leaning Dobbins on this one as well.
Okay. Good. John says, morning, I was left with Tannehill or Zach Wilson at quarterback. Who would you go with? It's what I get for waiting so long for a quarterback. John, good morning. That's not great. That's not great at all. Tannehill had a pretty sneaky good last week with a rushing touchdown as well as a passing touchdown. But they're in division against the Colts. The Colts defense hasn't been fantastic, but it's on the up. And then you also have Zach Wilson in his first game back against the Steelers. And we already know Zach Wilson is capable of big turnover games. So safety wise, I think I probably go Tannehill. I think he's probably your safer play there this week. Yeah, I go Tannehill, Brant.
Yeah, I'm leaning Tannehill here. I want to see what Zach Wilson has in store for us. That's a rough call. I feel your pain on this quarterback situation. I'll probably be in this situation next week, losing Tua. But yeah, I'm leaning Tannehill this week.
Corbin says Gabe Davis, Deontay Johnson, Curtis Samuel, Romeo Doubs, 1 for wide receiver 3 and 1 for flex, half-point PPR. So we need 2 of these guys, Brant. So for me, the obvious one here is Deontay Johnson against the Jets secondary. I think that's probably the most obvious one. And then for me, the other one comes down to Curtis Samuel or Romeo Doubs. I think I still just have to go Curtis Samuel just because of how good his usage has been. But I really kind of want to throw Romeo Doubs out there just because he's, last week 8 targets, 8 receptions, great game. Definitely looks like he's getting on that same page with Aaron Rodgers. But you do have Christian Watson back out on the field. Alan Lazard's playing. The pass catchers are there, and neither one of us expect the Patriots to stick in that game for too long. So I probably go Curtis Samuel over Doubs.
Yeah, I'm leaning. Actually, Deontay Johnson scares me a little bit the way Sauce has played, but I got to lean him in this one out of all the names you got here. Half-point PPR is Curtis Samuel, so I'm on the same boat with you here with Johnson and Samuel, but Johnson does scare me a little bit. So if you need a higher ceiling play, Gabe Davis is coming back for injury. Nope, go Johnson and Samuel. Sorry, forgot about Davis is coming back. So yeah, Johnson and Samuel there.
All right. The next one is, should I start Khalil Herbert or Garrett Wilson in my flex in PPR? Brant, you kind of already hit the nail on the head for me with that Jets offense. I want to see what Zach Wilson does for a week, who he targets, who's his guy. I've been vocal about Elijah Moore all offseason because I thought that would change a little bit with Zach Wilson back in there, just with their chemistry. And the Bears have another game where they unfortunately should be able to run the ball 100 times and only pass it twice, because I don't think the Giants probably scare anybody offensively. I probably go Khalil Herbert here. I think that's going to be a battle of who can get in the end zone this week between Khalil Herbert and Saquon Barkley. But I go Khalil Herbert.
Yeah, I'm going with the guy that got 20 carries last week. Give me Khalil Herbert all day in this matchup. There's the possibility of some rain in that matchup too, I believe. So they're going to lean even more on the run game. And well, we already know that they don't like Justin Fields throwing the football. So give me Khalil Herbert.
Yeah, unfortunately. Quentin says Isaiah McKenzie or Devin Duvernay in PPR. So we've got 2 guys in the same game here. I just think Isaiah McKenzie's been more targeted, probably. And Devin Duvernay, that's just how long does he keep this up, Brant? I just don't see Devin Duvernay as a long-term answer. I go Isaiah McKenzie here. I just can't get on board with the Devin Duvernay stuff. I know he's looked good. I know the numbers are there. I just can't get on board with it.
Yeah, I go McKenzie also. And to answer your question, how long does it keep up? I hope not much longer. I mean, the man's he's only seen 8 targets. The majority of his fantasy points have come off of touchdowns. So if he doesn't get in the end zone, he's not going to score much. I'm going to lean Isaiah McKenzie. McKenzie saw more targets last week than Duvernay seen all year combined.
DJ Moore or Ramondre Stevenson in flex also at this point is more a bench until something changes. The target share's there for me with DJ Moore, and that's for me. Eventually, that's going to click, and that's going to get points on the board for him. But I think this may be one where I'm saying, yeah, I probably start the Patriots running back. Um, I've had the unfortunate pleasure in a dynasty orphan team I took over this offseason of having to play Ramondre Stevenson as my running back too, because the cupboard's empty. There's just not a whole lot there. So I think Ramondre Stevenson probably has a serviceable game this week. I don't think it's going to be anything extremely sexy. And I think DJ Moore eventually gets the ship righted. I'm just not sure for me, I'm probably sitting DJ Moore until I see the targets turn into something. But the targets are there, and like I said, I think eventually that it does turn into something. It just hasn't happened yet. So I go Stevenson.
I was extremely high on DJ Moore coming into this year, and I have moved him to my bench in the 2 or 3 leagues that I own him in, and I am starting Stevenson over Moore this week pretty easily until I see something else out of DJ Moore.
Let's see. Corbin says also Conklin or Hawkinson today. TJ hasn't done much, but Zach Wilson is also coming back. TJ Hawkinson's about the only healthy pass catcher in Detroit.
And he plays this secondary.
Yeah, I'm going TJ Hawkinson pretty emphatically this week. No DJ Chark, no St. Brown. Obviously, we still haven't seen Jameson Williams yet. That's still a couple weeks out. And no Swift either. I go Hawkinson pretty emphatically here.
Yeah, give me Hawkinson. There's a good chance that you could see Hawkinson as a top 3 tight end by the end of this week, playing against a weak secondary in Seattle, kind of a weak linebacking core. So, yeah, give me TJ Hawkinson easily this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Kyle Pitts had his breakout last week against Seattle too. So maybe we're just the defense to let tight ends break out on.
You're also the offense to have tight ends break out for. So
yeah, unfortunately, we just don't know which one.
So we got Khalil Herbert again or Javonte Williams.
Ooh.
I think this one should be an obvious answer. It should obviously be Javonte, but I don't know what Nathaniel Hackett's doing. It's like he hates Javonte and doesn't want him on the field. He wants Melvin Gordon out there. Whereas I don't see anybody stealing much work from Khalil Herbert today. I gotta go Khalil Herbert, but this one's a little closer for me just because I know Williams does get the targets, but it's Khalil Herbert for me.
Yeah, give me Herbert. Unfortunately, we can't even talk about targets in the Chicago Bears offense because we don't throw the ball. Give me Herbert.
Can you throw the ball in the National Football League? I'm not sure. Eberflus knows that you can throw the ball.
I don't think he does. Under 20 times or under 25 times a game. Yeah, give me Herbert. He's going to see plenty of touches. I don't see this game getting out of hand. I see this game being a very slow-paced, hand the ball off to your running back, and let's see which one looks better this week.
Absolutely. Kevin says Garrett Wilson or Romeo Doubs. Man, a little rookie on rookie question here. If Joe Flacco was still playing this week, I think I'd probably comfortably say Garrett Wilson. With it being Zach Wilson instead, it makes this question a lot closer for me. I think I'm going to go with the one that plays the easier defense in my mind. So I think I'm going to say Romeo Doubs. I mean, the guy had 8 targets last week, was the target leader there in Green Bay. So I think it's probably Doubs for me, but it's closer than it should be probably.
Yeah, this one's real close in my mind. I'm going to lean Doubs just because he did see those 8 targets. We know that Rodgers is trusting him. We know that they're going to want to throw the ball. I think you're going to see a lot of this game like you did with the Bears, where they're going to throw it real early and then lean on Jones and Dillon to finish it up. So I like Doubs to start this as a start this week. Laura
says Lazard or Dobbs at the flex. I assume that's what we're for.
Next comment fixes it.
Okay. You want to say Lazard, but after how good Doubs looked last week, I'm not sure it is. I probably go Doubs. Just coming off the game he had last weekend, I think I'm probably leaving him in over Lazard until I see a reason that I can't.
Yeah, I'm going to start Dobbs also here. I like his upside, and I think this week we may see him get involved with some end arounds and everything, and maybe see a chance to see what he can do in some run game. I think this game gets out of. We've already said it. We think the game gets out of hand pretty quickly, so I think they're going to work Dobbs in with other ways too this week just to see what they have with him.
Khalil Herbert, Leonard Fournette, or Javonte Williams need 2 for PPR.
Well, in my mind, you cannot take Fournette out. I know he hasn't looked the greatest with how many touches he gets, but the touches and the receptions are there. Fournette is almost a start it and forget it guy for me. And as for the other one, we just covered that one. We both leaned Herbert on that, so I'm going to go with Herbert and Fournette. I think are the safer two.
Yeah, that's probably where I go, but for me, it mainly comes down to the fact that you still have Melvin Gordon roaming around over there in Denver. If that wasn't the case, it'd be Javonte Williams as the start, set it and forget it guy. But I think I have to go Herbert and Fournette here as well.
Yeah. My wife has Josh Allen, lost Keenan Allen, so she needs to replace him. So Gabe Davis or Isaiah McKenzie. This one again.
Listen, I'll be honest, Brant. I don't think you can go wrong with either Gabe Davis or Isaiah McKenzie. Obviously Stephon Diggs is the alpha there, and that's not in question. But both of Gabe Davis and Isaiah McKenzie get plenty of targets when they play. Even when they're both on the field together, there's plenty of targets. Gabe Davis probably has the higher upside for me. I think he runs more of those deep routes. And we know Josh Allen's looked amazing at those this year. So I probably go Gabe Davis. I just wish he wasn't coming off of an injury. That's my real only hesitation with Gabe Davis there.
Yeah, I'm going to still lean Gabe Davis. He'll be out there, and when he is, Allen does look for him as the number 2 guy. So, yeah, I'm going to lean Gabe Davis as well.
Zachary says thoughts on Richie James with Sterling out for the season. Really until we see something out of Kadarius Toney and we get Wan'Dale Robinson back on the field, Richie James is really the only pass catcher there. I know that probably hurts your heart a little bit, Brant, but Kenny Golladay is not worth anything in fantasy at this point. So I like Richie James, especially this week. Again, there's no Wan'Dale Robinson. There's no Toney. Obviously, Shepard, like you mentioned, is out for the season. I think Richie James is a very sneaky little flex play. I like Richie James. He certainly at the very least shouldn't be on waivers at this point. Now, when we get Kadarius Toney playing regularly, we get Wan'Dale Robinson back healthy. Maybe then Richie James is the odd man out. But until that happens, yeah, he definitely should be in your roster. And you're probably even starting him with a fair amount of confidence. So.
Yeah, Richie James, even with Shepard, was seeing 6, and 5 targets for the first 3 weeks. He's going to be the number 1 because, like you said, Kenny Golladay just ain't the guy. So, yeah, I like Richie James going forward. And he's getting the reps and the work right now with Moore and Wan'Dale
Robinson
being out. Thank you. Wow. With Rondell being out this week. So, yeah.
Brant, I'm thinking you're probably going to want to take this one.
No, I don't. It's just my father. What's up, Pops? Damian Pierce or Edwards this week? Damian Pierce. I like his upside too much. They want to get him involved. Give me Damian Pierce.
Yeah, I go Damian Pierce as well. I just think that with his workload last week, I don't expect him to be as involved this week because he isn't out there for a lot of the pass catching work, and I'm not so sure the Texans can keep this exceptionally close, but I still think he's got a pretty good chance of finding the end zone this week.
Yep.
Matt Jones says Gabe Davis, Isaiah McKenzie, or Josh Reynolds. Brant, eventually we're going to have to, we're going to have to just emphatically say one way or the other on Gabe Davis or Isaiah McKenzie. Josh Reynolds again is about the only healthy thing on the outside for the Lions this week. So I get that question too, and it is against unfortunately a woefully unproven secondary there in Seattle. But I have to imagine that Josh Reynolds gets a lot of attention this week from that Seattle secondary. I'm probably going Gabe Davis still here. I just have a hard time with it because I could see Gabe Davis having a huge game, but I could also see Isaiah McKenzie having a very safe game and Gabe Davis not playing a whole lot, just coming off of his injury. I just think Gabe Davis is the bigger home run ability here this week.
Yeah, I'm going Gabe Davis also here. It's really hard to sit anybody in that Bills offense, but I got to lean Gabe Davis on this one.
Kevin says Hollywood Brown or Daubs. He's worried about Brown's health. Yeah, I mean, if you have any inkling that you don't expect him to see the field a whole lot this week, I think you start Daubs and you don't overthink this one. Daubs is healthy; he should be on the field. For almost every offensive snap. I go Daubs here.
Yeah, if Brown's not playing, I go Daubs also. Brown's has really broke out.
If Brown's not playing, it's no longer a question. So
yeah,
if Brown plays, are you starting him or are you starting Daubs?
I'm looking at when the Cardinals play. They play the 3:00 slate, so I think I gotta have to start Daubs.
Daubs plays the 3:00 slate as well.
I need to make a better break on my stuff. One small line here doesn't work.
You should have an answer for sure on Brown. But again, when guys are coming into a game with a questionable designation, I always worry about how many snaps they'll see. So for that reason, I'm going Daubs.
I'm going Brown if he plays. I just think that, he has the chance to really break out, or he already did break out. But, I mean, he has that home run ability. He seems to be Murray's go-to guy, so I'm going to go with Brown.
Okay. Oh, I saw this question coming from afar, and I wasn't excited about it. Michael asked DJ Moore, Elijah Moore. For me, I think just based on the chemistry behind Zach Wilson and Elijah Moore, I probably go Elijah. Let's just go with the guaranteed. Just start Moore. I'd just take Moore in this equation. Yeah. No, it's Elijah for me. I just think that the chemistry last season probably carries over at least for a little while between Zach Wilson and Elijah Moore. And I know the target share has been there for DJ, but it just hasn't worked out a whole lot to this point. So I'm probably going Elijah and letting DJ Moore, prove it, I guess, with Baker.
Yeah, I'm going to go Moore. We already saw the chemistry that Wilson does have with Elijah Moore, so I'm going to lean Elijah Moore also.
Monica says CMC this week. Yeah, against the Cardinals, we haven't seen it a whole lot this year, but the Cardinals can't put points on the board in a hurry. I think CMC is going to have to be fairly involved if that happens. And I think he's going to be fairly involved if it doesn't. I look for him to have at least 5 receptions this week. I'm thinking CMC has a pretty good game. So I start CMC. Yeah.
I start CMC with confidence. We know the work. We know the work is there, and eventually it's all gonna come together. So yeah, I'm going CMC also. I'm very comfortable with that one this week.
Zach says good feedback on Richie. So Richie James or Zay Jones? It's Zay Jones for me. I just don't trust Daniel Jones. And Trevor Lawrence has looked the part this season so far. He's getting his guys involved. And like I said earlier, Christian Kirk and Zay Jones have been the reads. And I'm really not so sure Christian Kirk is the true one there in that offense at this point, just because it seems to go back and forth. They're both getting highly targeted, but I think Zay Jones is still going to see 7+ targets this week. And I just in that game against the Bears, the Giants may not pass it a lot either because they don't have to. So I think it's going to be a Saquon game there. So I go Zay Jones.
Yeah, I'm going Zay Jones also. I think he's the safer play. We know he's going to see the targets. I'm going to lean Zay Jones also.
Okay. Hector says better stash, Dontrell Hillard or Sky Moore. You know, the one thing I'll say on this one, Brant, is nobody that catches passes in Kansas City to this point has really blown that away. You know, the obvious thing is everybody thought it was going to be Juju, but Juju's not been great so far. I think eventually Sky Moore is going to have to get some run, and you know, he's going to get his opportunity. Hillard, you're really just kind of waiting on a Derrick Henry injury, unfortunately. So I probably go Sky Moore just because nobody has really taken full grasp of that pass catching role with Patrick Mahomes. And I'd like to see Sky Moore get his chance, and I think that happens at some point this year. So,
yeah, I like Sky Moore also as the better stash there.
Okay, Jason says PPR, he needs 4 of the 6 mentioned players, and Greg Dortch, Rondale Moore, Ramondre Stevenson, Mac Hollins, Devontae Parker, and J.K. Dobbins. So for me, I think the real obvious two are Stevenson and Dobbins, just because you get safe, guaranteed work out of those two. And then I really like Mac Hollins again this week with the Hunter Renfrow being rolled out. So I think those are your 3. So then for me, it comes down to, you know, I'm leaving Devontae Parker out. Probably he's my obvious out because it's Brian Hoyer starting at quarterback. I know Jacoby Myers, I'm pretty sure, is ruled out already this week as well. So Devontae Parker could be in line for a target share this week. I think I'm probably going Rondale Moore, Stevenson, Hollins, and Dobbins for me. That's probably the 4 I'm leaning with.
Yeah, those are the same 4 that I'm going to go with. They just seem to be the safer plays. Rondale Moore is going to slowly work into that Dortch role, and I think you'll see plenty of targets this week. So, yeah, those are the 4 I would also lean with. Parker's boom or bust, really, in my mind, even without Jacoby.
Shannon says Cordero or Gibson. So that's Patterson again against the Browns. Again, he's a game time decision. So I mean, obviously, if he's ruled out, it makes the answer pretty obvious. But I just don't know how well Patterson's going to move the ball. I know Myles Garrett's out, so that should help the Falcons be able to get a push on that with their offensive line. And the offensive line, it's been a long time since I've been able to say this. I know, Brant, I talked to you about this week, that the Atlanta's run game is actually ranked pretty high right now. They're top 10 in about all things running the ball. The offensive line's getting good push downfield. They're picking up first downs, you know, on third down at a high rate running the ball. I think I probably go Patterson. Yeah, I'm not gonna get cute with it. I think I like Patterson. I think you're gonna see more of a J.D. McKissick game in Washington this week. But it wouldn't shock me either to see Gibson fall in the end zone a couple of times. So it's Cordero Patterson for me, but it's close.
Yeah, I like Patterson's upside this week. So yeah, I'm gonna lean Patterson also on this. Gibson's a guy that I kind of shade away from. Because almost if he doesn't fall into the end zone, is it really worth it? So, yeah, I'm going to go with Patterson.
Okay.
No.
No, I don't. I don't think Aaron Jones is a bust this week. You know, neither one of Brant or myself are very confident in the fact that the Patriots are going to keep this game close. Yeah. And so at some point you're going to see a lot of carries out of that Green Bay backfield. And I think obviously Aaron Jones is going to get his fair share. I look for Aaron Jones to have a pretty good game this week.
Aaron Jones just played one of the best rushing defenses in the NFL last week against Tampa Bay. And still saw 16 touches. Sorry. So yeah, no, he's not going to be a bust this week. I mean, he's a guy you cannot sit either way. So no, I like Aaron Jones this week.
Wildeye Wrangler says Joshua Palmer or Devin Singletary for flex. Only other option because of injuries are Chase Claypool or Devin Duvernay. I think it's probably Palmer for me. You know, the Chargers do have, in my mind, a pretty favorable matchup against the Houston Texans. So I think I go Palmer. I know you said that you have Devin Singletary in currently in your next comment there. I think it's probably Palmer. the targets have been there for Palmer, every week. And I just think, he's probably the safer play in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm leaning Palmer there too. We saw last week with Keenan Allen out, 9 targets, 6 catches, 99 yards. Yeah, I'm going to go with Josh Palmer. I think he's a safer play this week.
Kevin says, someone dropped Brian Robinson. I scooped him up. What are your thoughts when he returns, which could be as early as next week? I think Gibson's probably playing well enough that they won't rush Brian Robinson back before they have to have him come back. But, prior to, the shooting that Brian Robinson had to endure, he was definitely the guy coming out of camp there in the preseason for the Commanders. And I think eventually he ends up being the guy as well. Excuse me again. So I think it's a great pickup, and I wish somebody would drop Brian Robinson in the leagues I'm in, because it's definitely somebody that I think is going to have a fairly good role when he comes back. So yeah, I'm not sure I start Brian Robinson his first week back, maybe not even his first couple weeks back, but I definitely think you're going to be very happy with having him picked up.
Yeah, I like that stash. I think they're going to slowly work him in, and I think come fantasy playoff times, he could be making a difference for you. But yeah, slowly keep him stashed there. Don't let him go. He's a guy that I definitely could see making a run at the end of the season.
Absolutely. So Brant, we're at about that 10-minute mark with time left, and in Fat Boy tradition, I'm going to ask you what's on the menu this week.
Well, this week is my first week. I actually get to sit down, be home, and eat. Well, the wife's in the kitchen right now. She's whipped up some biscuits and gravy to start the morning. We got some meatballs and weenies going in the crock pot, little cheese dip and chips for a little afternoon delight. And the dinner will be I'm going to throw the ribs and the pork loin in the smoker, and we're going to have some ribs and loin for that Sunday night game tonight.
Nice. I just want to say that I unfortunately have to attend a wedding this afternoon because some people are very inconsiderate at what time of year they're scheduling weddings for on a Sunday. So for me, there's not whatever, I guess, wedding cakes on the menu. I don't know. But yeah, not going to be a great food slate for me this week with the fact that I have to attend a wedding. So, and I promise you, I can say this without doubt. If my kids weren't flower girls in this wedding, I would find a way to be sick today. So, unfortunately, that's not an option. So we'll be sitting at a wedding watching football on the phone probably. So no food spread for me this week.
Just don't be like that commercial where you lean back in your chair and you pull down all the decorations. Make sure, please don't lean back in a chair. You're being a hefty boy, might break that chair first.
That may embarrass my wife enough that she lets us go home early. So maybe I do that intentionally. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, what a great slate week 4. We've got the early game in London, which is awesome. So you literally on Sundays, this week and next week have football all day long. Almost sun up to sundown for sure on the West Coast, sun up to sundown. But just week 4, hopefully this is the week we start seeing some fantasy things start going right. Hopefully we start seeing some of these running backs, getting more involved, getting back on track. I know, I saw something interesting the other day that, Jonathan Taylor was RB 29 through the first 3 weeks last season, and then ended up as the RB1. So it's definitely about the time we start seeing things get better from that running back perspective this week. So hopefully those of you that are, questioning the CMC role and things like that, hopefully we get some better answers this week. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The week 4 is normally where we start to see that slate start to really fill out.
Daniel says Jeff Wilson or Damian Pierce. So both of these guys, in my opinion, are going up against pretty tough defenses. The one thing I'll tip my cap to Jeff Wilson on is that he does catch the ball out of the backfield. So I'm probably going Jeff Wilson on this one, just because I know there is some PPR upside. if this is a PPR league, that is. If it's not a PPR league, then it's a coin flip for me. But if it's PPR, it's Jeff Wilson Jr.
Yeah, I like the chance of seeing Jeff Wilson seeing some dump off passes against that Rams rush defense. So yeah, let me get Jeff Wilson in a PPR, and like you said, in a normal standard league, flip that coin, and wherever it lands, that's who I go with.
Yeah, absolutely. So, here we are. We've got a couple minutes left, Brant. What's on your noon slate? What's a game that you're, dialed into? You want to see some things happen?
Be dialed into my Seahawks game at noon, and I hate that we play at noon because there's so many other games on, and the local channels don't allow me to get it. So I'll be dialed in on my Seahawks Lions. The other game that I'm going to be dialed in on is actually going to be the Jags and Philly.
Of course,
obviously. I mean, I own half of Philly's offense in our dynasty. Not intentionally, they kind of fell there to me. Yeah, the Jags and Philly, I'll be watching very closely. That Browns Falcons game, I'm gonna watch closely. I really want to see if Amari Cooper is about to become back to the Amari Cooper of old. So I'll be keeping a close eye on that one too.
Yeah, there's a lot of games in this early slate that have a lot of fantasy relevancy. You mentioned the Falcons, Browns. You've got Cordero Patterson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. You got Nick Chubb. I mean, there's just so many. There's a lot more fantasy relevancy in the noon slate this week than there has been in the past for me. So it's definitely going to be a good noon slate. So I'm excited about the games that I can watch before I have to go to a wedding. So definitely looking forward to it. Obviously, I'm going to have my Falcons on as well.
Absolutely.
Jason says in his other league in PPR, he's got the option of Daubs or Michael Gallup. So you've got the Cowboys hosting the Commanders or the Packers hosting the Pats. I've been saying that I think the Cowboys offense is missing that other, bona fide option at wide receiver. And I think Gallup will see some very meaningful targets, but again, I'm not starting him his first week back. So for me, it's Romeo Doubs this week over Gallup.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Doubs this week and see how Gallup comes back in. We saw how much Cooper Rush likes Noah Brown, so I don't think they're gonna pull him out right away and give that full workload to Gallup. So yeah, I'm gonna lead Doubs on this one as well.
Hector says Gabe Davis, Josh Palmer, Devonta Smith. Which one sits? The guy I'm playing also has Allen at his quarterback, if that matters. It does and it doesn't. I mean, I know I get the idea of starting a pass catcher against the quarterback because it kind of negates some of their points a little bit. But you do have Stephon Diggs in that offense. You do have Devin Singletary, who's starting to get a lot of work out of the backfield, and Isaiah McKenzie as well. So for me, I'm going with Devonta Smith and Joshua Palmer in this question here. So I guess the answer to the question would be Gabe Davis sits for me.
Yeah, I'm probably sitting Davis as well. Smith scares me a little bit this week, but that's a high-powered offense. If it comes out that it's downpouring there in that game in Jacksonville, then Smith probably sits for me. But as of right now, I'm sitting Gabe Davis.
Absolutely. BHop89 on YouTube asks, should I start Jeff Wilson or Isaiah McKenzie in the flex? This one for me is Jeff Wilson. It's a lot safer. Again, I think there's nothing but relevancy in the pass catchers for the Buffalo Bills. However, you just don't know which one's going to be more targeted than the other, with the exception of Diggs, obviously. So for that reason, I start Jeff Wilson just because he's safer. There's not going to be anybody cutting into his work tremendously. So I go Jeff Wilson.
I'm leaning Jeff Wilson as well on that one too. Like you said, you're not sure which one's going to break out for Buffalo, so I'll lean Jeff Wilson on that one.
Daniel says, one last question, Cortland Sutton or Isaiah McKenzie? I have Sutton benched right now. No. You play Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton's by far Russ's favorite target, which I know Russ does not look good, but Cortland Sutton has. You start Cortland Sutton in this one.
Yeah, Sutton's seen 10 and 11 targets over the last 2 weeks. Russ is going to have to figure that out. I'm starting Sutton. He's obviously the guy that Russ looks for first and most often. So give me Sutton all day.
Absolutely. Tony says, my dad needs help in his keeper league. He has a good problem at quarterback. Should he start Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson? This is a great problem to have. And to avoid that problem in a keeper league, I'd probably try to shop one of these guys as somebody else for a bona fide stud at another position. But for me, with having both of them, I got to go with the guy who's just absolutely lighting the fantasy world on fire right now, in Lamar Jackson. He's been your quarterback one almost every single week so far this season. And his rushing upside at this point is just still better than Josh Allen's. So give me Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I'm taking Jackson as well here. That's a great problem to have, but yeah, I'd definitely be trying to shop one or the other. But yeah, Lamar Jackson, until he slows down, that running back / quarterback option in that position always outshines it.
B-Hop back on YouTube says Jeff Wilson or Jamal Williams in RB2. It's Jamal Williams against that Seahawks defense. We saw Cordero Patterson absolutely blew that away. So I'm going Jamal Williams.
Yeah, I'm going to go Jamal Williams as well. We let Cordell Patterson run all over us. We can't stop a pass catching back to save our life. Give me Jamal Williams.
Absolutely. Tony, just real quick for me, I know we're getting ready to end this live here, but I'm probably trading Josh Allen at this point just because Lamar Jackson's value is just, I doubt anybody's paying what either one of them are worth. But Lamar Jackson single-handedly winning people weeks right now. So I probably lean trading Josh Allen, as odd as that is to say. But if you're in a league where you can only start one, yeah, I want Lamar Jackson right now. So thanks.
I also am trading Josh Allen because right now is the best time to be shopping a quarterback as well. With the downfall of Tua getting hurt, we're not sure what's up with that. Trey Lance going down. So a lot of people are probably in desperation mode to go out and get a bona fide stud at QB. Absolutely.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in with us again this week. We'll be back live again next week at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. Don't hesitate if you got any more start sits. That start sit post is getting ready to pop up on the Fantasy Holics page. So get over there and drop those guys your comments on the rest of your starts or sits you may have for the rest of the week. So as always, stay hungry
and stay fat, my friends.